Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded 1 minute intro. We just wanted to kind of mix it up. We get a little, spinology there. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. We're
So,
going for the lost Christmas cards record today.
lost Christmas cards on location again. Ron, are you in Boston? Is that
Yeah, we decided to come here early for the first playoff game, so I came with all my friends.
All right, sweet. So we are going to be talking a lot of different topics today. Obviously, we're going to get into some Bruins. We're going to get into some NFL. But let's start off with this leadoff story, and that's the Washington Commanders, who have a preliminary deal in place to sell the team. And I guess the biggest question for me would be, is this, Ron? Do you feel like this is more of a reward for Daniel Snyder? So $6.05 billion. We're talking with a B now, my friend. $1 billion has been offered. He bought the team in '99 for $800 million.
Well, I mean, it has the appearance of that, but these owners make so much money that he's going to end up losing revenue in the long run because he's having to sell it. But I mean, they have so much money already, so it really doesn't matter. And the best thing is that he's going to be out of the league.
Yeah, I agree with that part of it, right? Getting rid of Daniel Snyder from the NFL, I think, is probably the most beneficial thing that could happen to the league. Nothing but problems. I mean, this guy, the last couple of years have just been an absolute nightmare in Washington. So I feel like this is the timing couldn't be much better, because I think they need to get rid of this story.
Yeah.
And start over. So the owner that, or the individual who's actually put the bid in, Josh Harris, in a group, again, offered that $6.05 billion, which would be a record. Denver Broncos sold last year for $4.65 billion. So you're talking almost $2 billion more. Absolutely insane. But I wanted to go through this part, Ron. If you think about it, in the 24 years that Daniel Snyder has owned the team has been 164 and 220 and 2, 8 playoff appearances, never making it past the divisional round. They were 2-6 in the playoffs. So even from a standpoint of the organization, how it was run, this is probably the best thing for the Commanders at this point.
Well, yeah, it is, because they were just atrocious under this guy, and frankly, he can't get out of the building fast enough. Hopefully the incoming group will be a little more responsible for their actions, both in and out of the building. And along as with being accountable on and off the field.
Yeah, I don't think it could get much worse.
No, it can't.
I hate saying that, because as soon as I say it, it probably can't
right.
happen.
It does.
But I said it shouldn't happen. Harris already currently owns. He's got stake in the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. So he already knows how to run a franchise. And if you think about both those franchises, the 76ers have been relevant for quite some time now in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Even after they did the that whole draft thing where they tried to believe in the process. I don't know if he was part of that or not. And then look at what the Devils are doing in the NHL. They're very successful this year, and again, knows how to build a team. It would be nice to have a winner in Washington. Maybe not a Super Bowl winner, but at least somebody it's relevant again.
Yeah, see, I'm still bitter towards the regime that's currently in there. So I was kind of hoping Fenway would buy them and just have a miserable time like they are with the Red Sox.
Man, you are just in one of those moods today. I can see.
There's one card.
I can see. Kenny, by the way, thanks for joining. So what would be your outlook once this team is sold? Do you think new coaching staff? Does Ron Rivera stay? How would you approach it if you were coming in? If you had the $6.05 billion right now, Ron, and you were buying the Commanders, what's the first move you're making?
I clean house. Clean house from the coaching staff all the way up to second in command.
Okay,
Me being the first in command.
I gotcha.
You know,
So do
I
you
would fire
blame Ron
everybody.
Rivera for the situation, or do you think that it might have been
But
just
he hasn't really helped this situation either. So, you know, I mean, just his comments about, you know, his quarterback, whether you believe it or not, you don't say it. You know, you're the coach. You're supposed to be behind that guy that you went out and got, you know, and you have to, everybody has to be accountable. And right now, nobody on this in this organization is. So you need to clean house, start over, and work your way down to the head coach and let the head coach pick his staff. You know,
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what direction that ownership goes.
yeah,
I
because
don't think
I'd want my own guys and I want my people in there. I don't
yeah,
want somebody else's regime's people.
yeah, I think you saw the same thing, right? Look what happened though in Denver,
Yeah.
right? They buy the team, they go Paul Hackett. Was it Paul
I
Hackett?
don't do
Not Paul
that.
Hackett. What's his name? Hackett.
Doesn't matter. It's
One of the Hacketts.
he couldn't hack it.
Okay. So once they made that move, basically destroyed the team. So that's what I'm saying. Do you see what is in place? Ron Rivera, what, 8-1 last year? So again, a 500 based on the talent you have. Do you try to see if you can work it with Ron Rivera first? And then obviously some change when it comes to the draft and possibly personnel and who's calling those shots, I would
Well,
say.
I mean, you know, depending on when the sale goes through, I mean, I think it's already too late to try a new head coach.
Yeah, because you're going to go through the draft in what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, and next year Bill Belichick will be available, so you can just go out and get Bill.
Here we go. Another Christmas card.
That's 2.
Look at you. You are on fire, my friend.
Over under is 10.
So let's go into some more NFL action. And we're going to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. So he has decided to sign with the Baltimore Ravens. Do you think this helps the Ravens possibly sign or keep Lamar Jackson?
Well, he's got a franchise tag on him, right?
Yes.
He'll show up this year then.
Not necessarily. He can hold out, or he's still requesting a trade.
Oh, that I don't doubt. But, you know, I mean, if nothing happens on that front, he'll play. Because
Yeah, I think he could sit out like 10 games. I think it's somewhere in that realm.
And I'd expect him to push the limits. You know, I mean, look, this is another aspect about having an agent, right? You know, the agent is going to tell you what you should and should not do. And he's got nobody really guiding him. So he's kind of just flying off the seat of his pants kind of thing here.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't know what he's doing.
And the funny thing is, if I'm sitting back and I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm looking at this and going, okay, OBJ didn't play at all last year, right? Hasn't played since 2021, right? The Super Bowl before he blew out his knee. And I'm saying you just gave him $18 million.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting back and telling you that I want to be your franchise quarterback, but give me some money. Pay me.
Absolutely.
We go back to show me the money. You know what I mean? Show me the money. Jerry Maguire here. And I just don't understand how they feel like this move benefits the organization, because it's going to, to me, look like Lamar would even be more upset the fact that you'd be willing to give somebody who hasn't played $18 million, and you know what I mean? We're fighting over some money that I'm going to be here for the next 10 years. I could be here for the next 10 years, Lamar Jackson, and you won't give me my money.
The biggest thing is, you know, when you look at New York giving that pile of mess $40 million a year
you
price tag?
Daniel
No,
Jones.
I don't care.
You love
He
him.
stinks.
You love Daniel Jones.
No, he stinks.
Okay.
He stinks. He shouldn't even be a starter in this league.
I cannot with you. He won a playoff game.
Yeah.
Put some respect on that man's name, as Kenny would say.
No. But I mean, he's getting $40 million. Like what does he have to do to get money, right? Well, he has to play, and that's the big thing. He hasn't put in a full season now for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
This is my point, though. OBJ hasn't played an entire year,
right?
And yet
still got
he has $18 million.
So, and that's what makes Baltimore look like a joke, right? Because wait. Their reason for not giving him the money is because he's out, but OBJ just got paid,
and he's out.
He hasn't played.
We haven't seen him on a football field in well over a year. So OBJ, in his career, 531 receptions, 7,367 yards, 13.9 yards per reception, 56 touchdowns. But again, hasn't played since 2022. He's 30 years old now.
Mm.
So you got to think he's on that backside anyway when it comes to wide receivers. Just saying. But if you look at the top receivers last season for Baltimore, Mark Andrews, tight end, you can't really, if you take him out of the equation, he had 73 receptions. The next three wide receivers, their top three wide receivers, DeMarcus Robinson had 48 receptions, Devin Duvernay had 37, and Rashad Bateman had 15. How can you not get excited, though, that OBJ's in your lineup right now? Because if that's what you're working with from a wide receiver standpoint.
The sad part is, how close were they to the playoffs?
Right? They just missed on a fluke. So this is my point. I mean, I think OBJ helps them in one aspect. It gives them maybe a top-notch wide receiver.
Yeah, you would think he's going to get more than 15 yards, right? I mean, 15 receptions, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
You would think.
Again, unless he gets hurt. I think he can beat 48. I think he could be 48, but it depends on who's throwing him the football. Depends on who's throwing him the football.
Mm.
I cannot wait to see how this Lamar Jackson turns out, because
could be Mac Jones.
Yeah, we're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers as well. So some of these big name quarterbacks, it's not like it used to be where they were automatically, it was a done deal. You're seeing teams hold off a little bit and wait, and it's a different. I think the Deshaun Watson situation ultimately hurt football, because I think now these quarterbacks feel, and I'm not saying they don't deserve their money. So people out there that say they deserve their money, but it's the way they're going about these guaranteed contracts now to say, look, I deserve $300 million up front. A lot of teams are not going to make that investment anymore, because that's all lost revenue if that guy goes down in year 3, 4, 5. And
or all those years.
Or all of them, right? Or he stinks at that, he signs a contract and he's a bust, and what happens then? Now you're stuck with that $300 million that nobody's going to take.
Right. You know, like the Patriots were stuck with Tom Brady for 20 years.
We move on, because I don't know what you're talking about anymore. The NFL has approved a new helmet for quarterbacks to help limit concussions. Yeah. Do you really think the league is trying to protect players at this point with this move?
I don't know. I just, first of all, like, why can't we just have everybody wear the same helmet then?
So I'm kind of pissed off about this.
You know, like, why just show that you're just trying to protect the quarterback rather than everybody else on the field?
Quarterbacks already don't get hit as much. You can't go low. You can't go high. You can't touch them without getting a penalty. So now we're going to put a new helmet in place. So I've never seen a wide receiver have a concussion, a running back have a concussion, a defensive lineman have a concussion. So why are we particularly making sure? I have. That was sarcasm.
Oh.
We will teach you some things about sarcasm. And yet the league's first priority is to say, look, I'm going to get a quarterback who already has so many different restrictions on what you can do to this player anyway. Now let's get him a different helmet as well, because we don't want to lose that guy during the course. This is why Lamar Jackson wants $30 million a year guaranteed, because guess what? The league has forced you to say, look, if you don't have a quarterback, you have nothing.
Yeah.
This to me proves that this is all they're trying to do. Is pretty soon it's going to be, you can't touch the quarterback. He'll have a flag and you can just pull the flag and nobody touches the quarterback anymore. And if he says, I want to run, you just let him run because you can't touch him. Because they've gotten to the point now where ask a Terry Bradshaw, a Joe Theismann, some of those guys that took a beating in that pocket, how they feel about the league today and how quarterbacks are treated. Think about where their careers would have been as well.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about guys that probably would have thrown for like 6,000 yards every year.
Yeah, it's insane. And I'm not saying that the league doesn't have to do this and to justify it, because there has been a lot of concussions, but do it across the board. Do it for every player and not just a quarterback.
Right.
To me, why are they more important than that defensive lineman or that offensive lineman? They were talking about it today on the radio, and they were talking about Aaron Rodgers. And they said, if you're the Jets, what's one of the things you do first? Get an offensive lineman to protect him in the draft. Because they're just as important. If you don't have a line to protect that quarterback, what happens? That quarterback gets hit.
Yeah.
So why don't they get a helmet? Because they're banging heads all day.
Mm-hmm.
An entire game. Ron, 271 games played last year, 149 concussions reported. That's 55% of the time there was a concussion in a game, which was an 18% increase from 2021. So, and that wasn't just quarterbacks.
No.
The league needs to figure this out across the board to every player and make them all feel like they're important. I don't know. It just bothered me. It bothered me.
It should. It should bother you because they're not doing enough. Now, I was under the impression a couple of years ago they had developed this new type of helmet that it would
reduce, and
it would cut concussions down like more than half.
Yeah,
but yet they haven't gone to that helmet. It looks identical to the regular helmet that you have now, but only it has a better protective shell.
Well, obviously not. Well, the new helmet, Vicus 02 Matrix, would be the helmet that the quarterbacks would wear. Supposedly it tested 7% better in test studies that it would prevent concussions. I don't know how they test that. I'm just curious. What do they have? One guy just run into a wall?
7%?
He runs into a wall and then sees if he gets a concussion. Like, how does that work? Imagine that guy's job. Hey, I'm going to hire you. What we need you to do is put this helmet on and just run as hot as you can into this wall. And if you don't get knocked out. So if
5 quarterbacks had a concussion last year, it's still going to be 5 quarterbacks that get a concussion this year because 7% doesn't even cover one of them.
Yep. Crash dummies. Yeah. Maybe they got to crash test dummies. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand. I get what the league's trying. The league tried to promote itself as, trying to protect the players and putting all these rules in place. And then yet I see it doing it for the same type of player and not all players across the board. I mean, you can still hit a running back in that, you know what I mean? You can still go low on a tackle when it comes to a wide receiver, but you can't do it for a quarterback.
Yeah, think of all those tackles on Gronkowski all those years, cutting him down at the knees.
Yeah. And look what it did. It ended up, he did blow out his knee once.
Mm.
All right, Ron, we move on, and it is triple play time.
Grounded to third. There's 1. There's 2. There it is. It's a triple play.
This is a difficult one. All 3 of these guys are extremely great wide receivers, but we were going to decide in 2008, so 15 years ago, episode 15, All the President's Men. Love that title, by the way. They led the NFL in receiving touchdowns, and that was Larry Fitzgerald, Calvin Johnson, and Randy Moss. We're going to decide who we start benching. Cut, you are first this week, my friend. So please let the people out there know how you would do this.
Well, I highly regard every single one of these receivers. And if I was building a team, if this was my receiving core, I'd say, give me the championship now.
Right. But believe it or not, none of these guys won a championship, right?
It's and that's the funny thing about it. That's what I was going to say next. But I would definitely have to start Randy Moss because I think he's the second best receiver to ever play. Right behind Jerry Rice.
I thought you were going Kendrick Bourne there. See, I was a little confused, but go ahead. was sarcasm again.
Yeah.
Okay.
The touchdowns, 156 touchdowns. It's absolutely incredible. 6 Pro Bowls, but the important number here is the 4 All Pro. It would have been nice if he would have had that one Super Bowl.
So close.
Um,
Not that we
yeah,
talk about that. We don't
but
talk
I
about
just
that.
think he's a special player, and I think he's second all time. So I had to start Randy Moss. The next one was a little more difficult
Agreed.
because when you look at Calvin Johnson's numbers, that's glaring. He had the highest yards per reception of 15.9 of the 3. The problem is he retired too early.
Yeah.
And we would never really know what his numbers would have been. So I ended up saying I'm going to bench Calvin Johnson because that's a beast coming off the bench. And as much as I like Larry Fitzgerald, who
I love Fitzgerald. I mean, his
yeah,
numbers are ridiculously good.
I know. He just had the lowest yards per reception, but when you're moving the chains, I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's 12 or if it's 15. But
No,
I just think Calvin Johnson is more talented, if that's even possible. But I mean, it's Calvin Johnson, man.
Megatron, baby.
Right.
Megatron.
It's I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't want to cut any of them. Can
Yeah.
I cut a tight end and then just keep Fitzgerald?
Yeah, we could throw that. We could. Yes. No.
I mean, really.
Unfortunately, and again, I ran into the same situation when I did it. I actually had it. I saw it the same way. Calvin Johnson played in 135 games.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald 265. That's almost double.
Right.
So if you double Calvin Johnson's numbers,
right,
just think about that. Double his numbers. He's looking at 22,000 yards, 1,400 and same amount of receptions, 160 plus touchdowns. So
he blows them away.
Yeah, it just crushes him. And I'm not saying he would have obviously doubled his numbers, but there was still a good amount of potential when he retired. Right. Him and Barry Sanders, Detroit Lions, that franchise ruined 2 of the greatest careers ever in sports, because
you're right.
We would have seen the best running back of all time in Barry Sanders, and probably the best wide receiver in Calvin Johnson, and they both retired because they couldn't deal with the organization.
They've ruined a few careers in their time.
Yeah, just a few. But Jared Goff, Kenny, good call on that.
Bo knows.
But right, so great opportunity. I as you said, right, Larry Fitzgerald, such a tough cut on this. This is probably the hardest cut I've ever had to do, because I looked at those numbers and I'm going, the man's the man. And I'm still blown away by the fact that he's got 1 All-Pro in his entire career.
I know.
I don't understand how he was not considered one of the top. But again,
you go against Walter Payton too. So
yeah, but you're going against Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson. They're in your group. I mean, that doesn't help you.
Yeah, I mean, help. I keep saying, Rice and then Moss for me when it comes to receivers, but Calvin Johnson's got to be up there. I mean, I haven't really thought out where he fit, all time, but it's got to be pretty high.
I would have to agree. I mean,
he's
definitely a top 10.
6.
Yeah, he's definitely a top 10, and to your point, he might be a top 5.
Honestly. I mean, that's crazy.
That might be a we got to do another Sports Unfolded, dynasty. That's what we do. We need to do one of those. But great triple play. Nice job. Let's talk some NBA. We got a lot going on with the NBA right now. The playoffs are underway.
Playoffs.
But let's talk about the individual we're going to bring up, and that's Andrew Wiggins. So he has been cleared by the Golden State Warriors now to make his return in the playoffs. Can he make a difference? Will this make a difference? Is that enough to get them back to the finals now? He's missed, 25 games?
Well, it absolutely makes a difference. I mean, he's gonna take some time, obviously, to get back into game shape. But when players are this young, I mean, how long is it going to really take an athlete like that to get back into game shape, right? Maybe a series, but
Run
I
with
mean,
those
they have to
Kings, though.
get through. He has to get through that series. But this definitely relieves a lot of the pressure on the other players because, I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he's good, and I remember him. He was a thorn in the Celtics side.
Yes, in the finals. Yes, he was. He
So now
basically,
he knows how to win too. So that just makes them that much tougher to beat.
I think you've changed my mind, Ron, because I was thinking about this, right? They're an aging team.
Yeah.
Draymond, Steph, Clay, right? A little bit up
Mhm.
there in age. He's a little younger. So now he's got fresh legs.
Yeah.
Hey, get us to 20, 25 points a night.
Plus, they got that rookie kid there. I can't think of his name right now, but
They still
he's
got
been
Jordan Poole,
playing.
too.
Yeah. So you're looking at three young players that can eat up a lot of minutes and get good quality points from those three guys. I think they're going to be tough, and I don't feel any different about my picks for Golden State going to the conference finals.
17.1 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2.3 in the 37 games he did play. Shot 39.3% from three. You add another weapon to the Warriors when it comes to the outside
Yeah.
shooting.
Who
That
do you
scares
cover?
me.
Who do you
Yeah.
cover?
That scares me. And then last season, again, 16.5 points in the playoffs, 7.5 rebounds. So again, the man knows how to do it in big situations. Talk about luck. That and I don't know what was going on. I know it was a family matter and some personal issues
Hmm.
and what he was out for. But talk about a time won't make a difference. Beam team. He's going Kings all the way. Kenny, I got the Kings coming out of this series, but I think it's going to be the best series when it comes to entertainment
Nope.
by far.
Nope. Kings lose.
Kings lose. So let's talk some NBA playoffs because we got the NBA playoffs. They're underway. We've got 2 playing games tonight to finalize the 8th seed. But let's start in the East, Ron. I know if you haven't had an opportunity, check out Sports Unfolded 2023 NBA playoff preview show. It is on our YouTube page and our Facebook and Twitter page.
Yeah, I came in to pinch hit for Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny let me down. Kenny let me
got
down.
that pinch hit home run.
Oof. He's talking smack, Kenny. We should get Kenny on right now.
Hey.
Kenny, you want to join us? Let us know. But let's start in the East. And we'll talk. What's some of the things you're looking for to come out of the Eastern Conference?
Well, I mean,
Kenny wants in. Kenny wants in. Let's get Kenny on the show.
Let's get Kenny on before we go.
We got to
any
get
further
Kenny
with it.
on this show, and then we'll talk some NBA playoffs with my basketball guy, Kenny. So you got to send him the link.
Ah, man, I gotta send him.
I can't send it, bro. You're running the show, my friend.
Damn it!
You are the man.
All right, let me see what
Kenny,
we got here.
Stay tuned. We're gonna get Kenny on here, my basketball guy. We're gonna talk some NBA playoffs.
There you go, Kenny.
There it is. Let's see if we get him on.
Wouldn't be the same without him. People that haven't seen Kenny in a while on the regular Sports Unfolded show,
I mean,
they're gonna get a treat right now.
Or not.
Or not, yeah. I mean, or not. There it is.
Is he on? There he is. The big dog in the house. It's Sports Unfolded. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing much better. I'm doing much better. Much better.
Good.
Much
You
better.
sound great. You sound great. So, Kenny, we're going to talk some NBA playoffs. I know last night you couldn't make the show, but we wanted to kind of, just go through real quick the East to begin with. What are some of the things you're looking for in the Eastern Conference, especially early on here? What's some of the outcome? Maybe not who's winning, but what are you really looking forward to?
Kind of an echo. I'm looking for the Miami matchup. I mean, that really scares me. They really scare Miami. Really, really scare.
Versus what? Who, the C's?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
no fear with Atlanta. You think
No fear
Atlanta?
with Atlanta. Yeah, no fear with Atlanta. We swept them this year. No.
Yeah, but doesn't Miami have to play Milwaukee?
Yes. Yeah.
And then they still wouldn't face Boston until the finals, right? Would it be conference finals?
Yeah, it would be conference finals.
Yeah.
Or
So,
do they reseed? They don't reseed in the
No.
NBA.
No, they don't.
yeah. So, no.
Well, first of all, if Miami was to beat Milwaukee, that would be incredible and a very big break for Boston. And
I could, yes. I mean, but they're the favorites. Can we see anybody beating the Bucks?
Nope. It's having some audio issues.
Yeah. Miami could with Bam. If you put Bam on Giannis, it could happen, and I would like that.
How concerned are you with the Jaylen Brown injury? With the Celtics now, obviously last season we know about the turnover struggles when it came to them in the postseason, and now he's got this 5 stitches in his shooting hand. So you're talking, I mean, he could dribble with his offhand, I believe, but you're still talking about a possibility of this causing some turnovers. Are you concerned with that? And what about the Rob Williams situation with his health status?
I'm not worried at all. Really not worried at all. They're professionals. They had rest, plenty of rest. He's ready to go. And with Williams, we've been through this before. Or Al Horford and the bench needs to do what they do.
So I would be a little concerned, though. Again, Rob Williams is a very important piece. Not having Rob could definitely hurt them. But I would look at this as well as Atlanta shoots the ball extremely well. So from a defensive standpoint, they like to do that pick and roll and go up high to Collins. So not having Rob Williams in that middle could ultimately affect the way that Atlanta plays the ball. Boston's probably going to want to play more perimeter. That gives Trae Young an opportunity to drive. And then obviously the lobs, what I mean? It's going to be open if Rob Williams is not there. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll even be more crucial to have him in when you're playing Embiid or Giannis as well. So not having Williams there could really be costly for the Celtics.
Glad you brought up the 76ers. Is this the year they finally get over the hump? Can this be the year? Embiid has played MVP-type basketball. Harden has looked like the old James Harden where he's distributing. He can still score. Do we still think the Sixers are going to fall?
No. I think they can come out, get past the first round. I don't know about the second round, but they can get past the first round.
I would hope so.
Yeah,
Brooklyn?
We will. Yeah, Brooklyn.
You never know.
Brooklyn's a mess.
Also in the East, Kenny, are you ready for the back into the 90s where we're going with Cavs Knicks? I feel like it's going to be one of those grind them out physical series back in the 90s, the way we used to see those Heat Knicks matchups. Who's this more important for? And we were talking about this last night. The Cavs to kind of move past the LeBron era and be successful in the playoffs, or the Knicks who are trying to reestablish themselves as one of the top teams in the NBA?
The Knicks, they need this. I'm so happy that they made the playoffs, but they need this. They have been terrible for a long time. And they really need this to turn a corner.
Which one of these teams, if they lose this series, is going to fall back again?
Knicks.
Yeah, Knicks.
So you think the Knicks?
Yeah.
All right. So that's the East, right? We know Boston. Kenny seems to think Milwaukee's vulnerable. I don't see it, but I will take your word for that. What about in the West? Are the Nuggets for real? A lot of people are not. They're the number 1 seed. Yet nobody's really buying into the fact that the Nuggets are the number 1 seed. I've heard the Warriors. I've heard the Lakers. I've heard, you know what I mean? Memphis. You're hearing all these other teams. Nobody's talking about the Nuggets. Can they do it? Is this the year that Jokic gets to the finals?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, I don't think the Nuggets can do it. I don't think so. Especially
See, here's the problem,
Phoenix is
though,
up there.
Kenny. The problem is everybody is overlooking them. They're the number 1 team in the West, and everyone is overlooking them. They're all talking Golden State. They got all these guys coming back. They're all talking Memphis. They're talking, the Lakers, and they're talking Phoenix. These are the teams they want to talk about. They don't want to talk about Denver because what's exciting?
True.
Okay, Jokic is just going to get a double, triple-double, every night, and it's been done, right? So nobody's talking about it. Everybody wants to see, is Kevin Durant going to bring, Chris Paul his first championship, right? Is LeBron going to be able to fight his way back into, the Lakers being a contender? Yeah, everybody's talking about all these things. And there's Joker and his crew doing it game in, game out every day, just doing it the same thing all the time. It just looks the same, right? And then nobody's talking about them. And then what happens when somebody doesn't get talked about? They end up talking about them at the end. And that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But I'm skeptical about their bench. The health issues, the up and down the courts. They look fatigued and tired the last 5 games. So we shall see.
The last 5 games because they were just going through the motions.
Possibly. And I would say this, though, the number 1 shooting team in the league.
Right.
Yeah.
So that could be crucial because, again, we know they shoot over 50%.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, no other team does that.
No.
So half their shots are going in.
Yeah.
What about those Suns, though? Is this legitimate? Is this for real? Like, are they for real? We've seen a good chunk of Kevin Durant now with Booker and Paul, and they've been pretty successful. Pretty successful in the point that a lot of people, to Ron's point, are talking about the Suns as the team.
Yeah.
Is this Chris Paul's year? Can Chris Paul win a championship because of Kevin Durant?
When you get Kevin Durant, things change. Team gets better, and as you can see, they're 6-0 with Kevin Durant since he's been there.
Look, the blueprint is there. Celtics put the blueprint in place. Now it's up to one of these teams out in the West to say, "Hey, we're going to take that blueprint and we're going to use it."
Yep.
But again, you're talking last year with Brooklyn and Kyrie Irving. To me, Devin Booker is a much better shooter.
Right.
So you can't just shut down Durant. And then Chris Paul has the ability. He doesn't need to be a scorer. He can distribute.
Right.
It changes the dynamic. So I get what you're saying, Ron, but Brooklyn didn't have what Phoenix has. They didn't have a Devin Booker. They didn't have a guy like Chris Paul that would be a pass first type of mentality.
No, but if you're going to focus on somebody and you can shut down, Kevin Durant, then you do it, and then other players just have to step up defensively and, put things in place where you're in a position to contest a shot.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. And we know that Phoenix Suns have underachieved and have choked quite often, where they're clearly the better team and they choke. And frankly, I'm expecting it again. If I just think Denver's going to be the team to control Kevin Durant, and I think that's what they're going to have to do. And I think that's the team that can do it. If not them, Golden State.
Kenny, I'm going to ask you. Kenny?
Did he just say
You ready?
Golden State?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you this question, Kenny.
Mhm.
Can the Lakers stun the Grizzlies and get out of the first round?
No.
Whoa.
I tell you right now, no, not at all. Grizzlies got the home court advantage, and they're pretty good at home. I'm not saying the Lakers they suck on the road, but Memphis is really good at home.
But you got a guy that can win on the road in LeBron. Anthony Davis is playing what we knew Anthony Davis to be back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Could they do it? They still 1-2. That's what the big punch was. Is you get those two.
Russell.
D'Angelo Russell playing well, right?
So, they also got Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, they just picked him up, right? Huchamara, whatever that guy. He's been playing pretty well for them.
Yeah,
they got a bench. LeBron motivated to maybe say, "Hey, I still got it at 30. What is he? 38? I think LeBron at this point.
I don't see it, yo. Memphis is young. Memphis likes to run.
Yeah, but they're shooting themselves in the foot a lot lately.
Oh, Ron.
Yeah.
I had to do it. Had to do it.
Man.
Had to do it.
Man had one gun. I mean, come on.
And it was this big, yo.
It was a little gun.
Yeah.
Hey, the size doesn't matter.
If that's what gets you through every night, Ron, enjoy yourself.
Hey, I didn't go there.
Hey, I'm not. I'm just saying. All right, let's get back on track with some more basketball. And Kenny, before we let you go, I want to ask you if this is the most anticipated series you've been looking forward to in quite some time. The two top scoring teams will face each other in the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. I'm asking this question of both of you. I already kind of know where Ron's going to go. But could this game mean the passing of the torch if the Kings are able to upset the Warriors, even though it's not an upset because they're the 3 seed, but upset those Warriors? Could they be the team that we're looking for the next 5 years to say, hey, look, they might be able to go on a run?
Yeah. I neglected to put them on any of my list this year.
I kept telling you.
And you kept telling me, but they're for real. I watched a couple of games this year, and they're for real. And they could do it. They could upset the former champs.
They can run and score with them.
Yep.
They can. But this is the thing. You know, they're going to be the team of the future in this conference. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're going to be top 3 for the next 5 years. I agree with that. But the problem is they got to learn from something, and they're going to learn the hard way this year. And that's the experience that's going to take them,
and
I'd love to agree.
I'd love to agree with you. I'm going to tell you one thing, though. Sacramento, 4 games, 3 games in Golden State.
Yep.
Golden State is horrible on the road.
Yeah.
So all Sacramento's got to do is take care of home court.
Yep.
Take care of home court.
Look, it's all 0-0 now. It's a new season.
I get it, but we've been waiting all year for the Warriors. We kept saying, it's just it's a fluke, and it's going to come out of it.
Coincidentally, they're all ready to go now. As of right now, they're all ready to go. This is a team that knows just how to do it. You know, they coasted through the season. They had lots of games off, and a bunch of different players. And now all of a sudden everybody's healthy for like the first time in a while. And it's now the playoffs.
All right, we'll see. So Kenny, before I let you go, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight for our NBA playoffs talk. But I would ask you this. So yesterday on our show, I picked the Suns to win it all. Ron picked the Oklahoma City Thunder. Who's your
Get out
pick?
of here. I didn't pick Oklahoma. I went Bucks.
He went Bucks. I went Suns. Kenny, who's your pick to win the whole thing?
Well, of course, Celtics.
He is a homer. Of all homers.
Wait,
the Celtics.
So you're going against your pick for the preseason? You picked the Bucks, didn't you, for the preseason?
Not for the Bucks.
I think he's stuck. I think I picked the Nuggets. I honestly do. I picked the Nuggets.
You picked the Nuggets.
I switched. But again, Suns didn't have Durant. So that's my. Yeah. But OKC, baby. go, Thunder. Kenny, thank you for joining us tonight. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, they're better than the Pelicans.
Come on, Zion though, but he'll be back. We will get some more basketball. Hey, Kenny, we're gonna get you on before the finals, and we'll definitely talk some more. All right. You take care, my friend. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
It's always a joy when Kenny's on the show.
Oh, isn't it? That smile. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. So we're gonna talk some baseball now. Major League Baseball. We got a surprise team here.
Surprise.
And that's the Tampa Bay Rays. That's 13-0. Look at a little banner. That fans are all excited. History. So they've tied a modern day record with the 82 and 87 Milwaukee Brewers for 13 straight to begin a season. Is this a big deal? Are you impressed by this early start? Does it really matter?
Well, who'd they play?
Boston. That's one team. I know that for sure.
Yep, they swept them. So, I mean, if they didn't play anybody good, then it's not that impressive because you got to play everybody, right?
Yeah.
And when you're playing the worst team in like the American League,
here we go. Woe is me in Boston.
The only one they're beating right now is Oakland.
I will say this though. Think about the run differential, Ron. 101 to 30.
Yeah.
That's 71 runs more.
I know already.
They've only had 2 games where they haven't won by more than 4 runs.
Yeah.
They are completely dominating from an offensive standpoint.
Right.
But I will say this. So I had to go back and I had to do some research because I was curious. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, the Braves of 82, they started off 13-0, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, how did they do? They ended up 89 and 73 that year and they lost in the NLCS. So that might be a good sign. They get to the playoffs.
Yeah. Might be a good sign.
The Brewers, and this is how old we're going back now, 87 Brewers were 91 and 71, and they finished 3rd in the AL East. I don't even remember them in the East. That's how long ago that was.
They were because it was two different. It was the East and the West back then, and Milwaukee was an American League team.
Right? Isn't that insane? So, and they didn't make the playoffs.
No.
So the early start, 162 games. You still got, you know what I mean, 49 games left.
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing because
I mean they go 20-0 like the 1884 St. Louis Maroons.
What a maroon.
Then maybe we start to talk about something.
Yeah.
Right, but to me, 13-0, it's a great story. It really is for baseball. I think this because again, it's not a team that you would expect to be doing what they're doing and as dominant as they're doing it. But it goes to show you too that if you can get a solid farm system and make that work and build these young kids up, which Tampa continuously does. Their guys all get good. They ship them off. They go somewhere else.
Okay,
and they continue to bring the next guy up.
Yeah, but let's pump the brakes.
Pump the brakes.
Because yes, it's nice, but if you look at their schedule, now I know you didn't see the schedule, but they played Detroit the first 2 games of the season.
Who's not very good. Okay.
Who's not very good. They played the Washington Nationals for 3.
Not very good.
Not very good. And they played the Oakland A's for 3.
Not very good.
Not very good. And they just swept the 4-game series with the Boston Red Sox.
Not very good.
Not very good. Now,
who they playing?
With that being said, we're going to find out how good they really are as they've got a 3-game series with Toronto.
Which we will have in our predictions.
Now, if they win 2 out of 3 in that series, that's impressive to pile on top of all of this. Okay? Now, I'm not saying Tampa Bay is not a good team because we've sat here in this position for the last, I don't know how long, when we're looking at the Tampa Bay Rays and say they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. And what do? They find another pitcher to take the spot of the guy that they let go last year. And it's like that all the time. And now they're producing runs.
Yeah.
So when you're
Same.
getting that good of pitching and then you're piling runs on top of it, that's what the results are going to be. So we're looking at, okay, so Tampa Bay is going to make the playoffs most likely when we're looking at this result already. So most likely they're making the playoffs. And then if you're thinking, all right, well, Toronto and New York should make the playoffs as well, that's going to leave some teams out. And who is that going to be? Is that going to be Houston? Is that going to be, Cleveland or Minnesota or, Seattle? So there's going to be teams left out that you might expect to be in. And that's what we're looking at already.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. And again, think about it, though. You start to gain that lead in the AL East, which we expected to be a very tough division. And you're giving yourself a little bit of a buffer, which is nice.
Yeah, they say, hey, you can't win the World Series in the first month, right? But you can lose it.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's already some certain team with the red color.
There we go.
That are already 8 games back. 8 games back already.
Let it go. I will say this, though. Look, at the end of the day, it's going to be interesting to see how far this can go. You're right. We're going to do our predictions, but 3-game set coming up against Toronto, who we expect to be one of those top teams in the AL East. So it'll be interesting. Great discussion on Major League Baseball, but it is time for future prospects, my friend.
Sports Unfolded. Future
So the way our future prospects work is we're both going to make 2 bold statements that we feel will happen in the future. I already had one of my predictions came true with actually 2 of mine. Mike Brown, I said would be named NBA head coach of the year.
That was an obvious thing.
Done did it. And the Lakers would win a playoff. They won their play-in game.
No. That's not a playoff game. That's not playoffs.
So
you're wrong.
It's called a play-in game in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not a playoff game.
So you are first with your first future prospect. I cannot wait to hear this bold statement.
Okay. When you look at the Major League Baseball, you have the Milwaukee Brewers leading the division, and the St. Louis Cardinals are at the bottom.
Wow.
And they are, I believe, 5-8 or 5-9 right now. St. Louis Cardinals are going to win the division by at least 5 games.
Okay. All right.
I just think they have the better players, top to bottom. And, like I said, the beginning of the season, you always see this kind of lopsidedness and craziness going on. And that's not going to hold.
All right. Not bad. But I think I'm going to upscale you here because I've got the New York Yankees will not make the postseason because of all these pitching injuries and them trying to figure it out all season long, and fire Aaron Boone after the season based on the fact that they are not in playoff contention. Aaron Boone fired by the end of the year by the New York Yankees, who will not make the postseason.
There's no chance of Boston and New York not making it.
New York's pitching, man. New York's pitching. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a problem.
They lose Cole, yeah?
Yeah. Well, they only got Cole now. That's all they have. If they lose Cole, forget it. Ron, your second future prospect. What is going to happen in the future?
I expect no Christmas cards from Canada.
Hey, that's your...
But...
the whole country. Done.
There are 3 Canadian teams in the playoffs. Only one of them is going to advance to the second round, and that will be Winnipeg.
No, Toronto. I got Toronto winning it all. Don't forget.
I see Edmonton losing their series. I see Toronto losing their series, and Winnipeg is going to beat Vegas.
Wow, that's pretty bold. I'll give you that one. That's bold. All right. Not bad. Good one. My second one is the Carolina Panthers. They're going to select C.J. Stroud as their number 1 pick. And then the Houston Texans will select Bryce Young with their second pick. Bryce Young will be Rookie of the Year this upcoming season, and the Carolina Panthers will once again make a mistake in their draft by drafting the wrong quarterback.
Well, that's the biggest story out of it all, that they fail again. But I mean, the two quarterbacks are going to go 1 and 2.
They're talking trade now, though. Somebody said Houston might trade, but I'm just saying,
Well, that would
if
be
they get Bryce Young, and Carolina had an opportunity to get Bryce Young, but there's questions about his durability, not his durability, but
See,
maybe
there's
his
just
size.
those franchises, right, that get this wrong all the time.
Yeah.
New York gets it wrong all the time.
Daniel
That's
Jones
another
though,
one.
seemed to be pretty good.
Carolina gets it wrong. You know, it's like,
And they've bulked up. Listen, they've put a lot into this team this year. They're signing guys. They're making moves. They're going to make the wrong move at quarterback. That's my prediction.
yeah, they tend to do that.
But that's our future prospects. Great segment. I like it. I like it a lot. But we're going to talk some NHL, my friend. We're going to talk about the Bees. Let's talk some Bruins. Bruins hockey. You're in Boston right now, you know, with everybody there.
Yep, with all
and
my friends.
They're all pumped up because the Boston Bruins now have broken basically every single record that they possibly could in the NHL. But how big is it that they're the all-time record holder now for wins and points? If they lose in the playoffs, would you consider the season a failure?
Yeah. And I think they would do the same thing. You know, this team, their goal was not to break the record. You know, most points in the season. That wasn't their goal. Their goal was to win a Stanley Cup this year. And that is clear that they've been trying to do that. They've come out and played hard every single game this year. And I got to say, I don't recall a season where every game they get up for. You know, yes, there's going to be sometimes you lay an egg, but it doesn't mean that you're not trying. And they've been gutting it out all season long. Even when last night, for instance, playing Montreal, they had nothing to play for.
Yeah,
nothing.
Agreed.
And then they still went out there. They did their jobs, and because it's Montreal, right? You know, you're playing Montreal. That means something. And there they go. They find everything they can to have a reason to win. And that is, we've seen that many times, right? I mean, you look at championship teams and you see that quality in the players and the way they go about their business. And it's no different this time around, you know? Look, this team is not done.
Yeah, and I'm not saying done. See, I disagree with you, though. I don't think it's a failure if they don't win at all. Because past history has shown that necessarily, but what I'm saying, the way they dominated all season, people are going to talk about this for years to come. Even if they don't win it, might be in a negative way too, say, hey, they didn't win the Stanley Cup. But you don't see a team, to your point, that late in the year, they're still playing all of their starters with nothing to play for. They didn't have to do this. They wanted to prove that they're taking every game seriously. Yeah. I think no matter what happens in the playoffs, again, we talked about how tough the Eastern Conference is. That all those teams are top quality from 1 to 8. There's not a team that you sit back and go, okay, it's an easy ride in this series. I could honestly say this is probably the best group of teams you're going to see probably ever, because they're just from top to bottom. They're all so good. So yes, Boston, rose to the top and they were the best team all year. But not necessarily saying that the gap between 1 and 8 was that far along where you say, oh, the 8th seed just barely got in and they weren't very good.
All see, it's different than basketball. Like the NBA, okay, the chances are the top 2 seeds are going to have an easy run in that first round. It's not.
Look
like
at the Celtics, right? The Celtics playing a 500 team.
Yeah.
There's a possibility. Let's just say OKC gets in. They have a losing record.
Yeah.
They'd be the 8th seed. You don't see that in the NHL, especially in the Eastern Conference. Like, these teams are all so good.
Yeah. If Florida, who is the Bruins' opponent, was playing in the West, they would be a top 4 team in the West. and might even be the best, because then they would play those teams more often rather than, the Eastern Conference more often. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of, experts are saying, the winner is going to come from the Western Conference, because by the time the team comes out of the East, they're going to be beat up.
Yeah, and it very well could be.
But I'm not one of those people. And I still think the team that comes out of the Eastern Conference is going to destroy that Western Conference team.
Very interesting. All-time wins, 65. All-time points, 135. Also have the all-time for most consecutive home wins to start a season, which was 14. They've tied the record with 31 road wins. So they tied that record. And then there was 16 teams, Ron, that didn't win a single game against the Bruins this year. That's half the league did not win a single game against the Bruins.
Right.
It's insane. Dude, what a great season. Listen, I'm looking forward to these playoffs. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. I think the pressure's on them. And we saw that
there's some great matches, Eric, in this. I mean, when you look at Pittsburgh not making the playoffs for the first time in 16 years.
Yeah, they fired their whole front office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Your first year, you lose. You're like, everybody stinks.
They were still a good team. They just weren't consistent.
Yeah.
And they're an aging team. So, I think you give them the benefit of the doubt, because you basically tied the hands of the general manager by basically telling him, well, you can't get rid of Malkin, you can't get rid of Crosby, you can't get rid of Lang. So, it's really the owner's fault. Oh, wait, isn't the owner Fenway?
You travel pretty quick, man.
Yes. I beamed out of there and went into the studio. Because I was doing the quotes and I didn't see my hands.
It was freaking you out?
It was. It was freaking you out. And I'm like,
so you got the Bruins winning it all? You going to go on record with that?
I will not go on record with that.
All right. I keep trying, man. I keep trying. We're going to continue to talk hockey. We're obviously going to try to do a NHL playoff show sometime next week. So we'll definitely talk some hockey there as well. But it is time for pick and roll, my friend.
Pick and roll.
It's time for
all right, Kenny.
And roll.
So pick and roll. We decided to go with some of these great number 15s of all time, and they are Patrick Mahomes, Vince Carter, Bart Starr, Nikolai Jokic, Carmelo Anthony, Maurice Richard, and Dustin Pedroia. We're going to rank them from 7 to 1.
Here's where you're going to get really mad at me today.
Okay.
And I've been looking at this pretty much all day, and every time I look at it, I take away their numbers that I ordered them, and then I redo it, and it comes out the same exact way every single time.
Okay. All right. I can't wait. You're first this week, so go ahead. Have at it.
Okay. Don't get mad.
I will not.
All right. So there's 7 guys, right?
7.
All right. So number 7, I have Bart Starr.
All right. We're done. I'm done. There's no way. You've got to be. There's no way.
Why?
There's no way.
How?
7 championships? 7. You of all people. Don't get upset. You of all people. 7 championships. Tied with Tom Brady. Tom Brady. But go ahead.
All right. Well, 152 touchdowns, 138 interceptions.
Yep.
To me, that's kind of average.
Again, the era was different. But go ahead.
I know it was
different. I'm gonna try to.
I know it was different, but I'm looking at the numbers he has, and
7 championships sucks.
Yeah, but
you of all people.
I know, but those numbers are just.
Go ahead. I can't wait. So Bart Starr at 7.
Yeah, I just don't think it was him got it done.
You've got to be hitting the Tito's hard tonight,
I'm
my friend. But go ahead.
serious. Look, the interceptions makes them
Is it
average.
is it still
makes
April
them
1st?
average.
Is it April 1st? Is it April Fool's Day? Because there's no way.
Look,
But go ahead.
they won 7 championships with Trent Dilfer.
Okay. Go ahead.
Right?
Yep. 94 wins, 57 losses. Trent
Right.
Dilfer.
Yeah.
Okay.
97 and 50. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead. I can't.
But it's still
Bart
it's
Starr
still
7.
Trent Dilfer. All right, number 6, Vince Carter.
I'm just gonna go ahead.
You look all relaxed and everything.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm just gonna chill out over here for a minute.
Vince Carter, 8 All-Stars, 2 All-NBA, Rookie of the Year, All-Rookie, 16.7 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 3.1. Look, he's a great player. He's a great player.
Thank you, Kenny.
But yeah, okay, that's okay. I don't care. He doesn't have the numbers that the other guys do.
How many championships does Vince Carter win? I mean, did he get? I mean, he's better than Bart Starr, so
He is.
okay. Go ahead.
Just saying.
Okay.
He's not an average player. I'm sorry. Hey, Bart Starr, average player to me. He's Trent Dilfer.
I can't. Go ahead.
So, number 5, I have Carmelo Anthony. 22.5 points, so he is 6 points better than Vince Carter. He has more rebounds, slightly less assists because, I'm surprised he had 2.7 assists, to be honest with you, because he would never pass up a chance to shoot.
Yes.
But his also shooting percentage was better. 10 All-Stars, 6 All-NBAs, a scoring title, which puts him over Vince Carter, and of course an All-Rookie. But, number 4, Dustin Pedroia. I actually, going into this, when I just looked at the names, I thought he was going to be last. 299 lifetime hitter. Only had 1,805 hits, mostly due to injuries, losing a lot of his playing career. 922 runs, 725, I was going to say assists, but it's RBI.
Hey, he plays at both spots.
4 All-Stars. He got an MVP. He has a Rookie of the Year. He has 2 World Series. 4 Gold Gloves, though, is why I put him at number 4.
Okay.
And he has a Silver Slugger as well. So, yeah. Number 3, I have Jokic. Out of all the basketball players, he was clearly the better of all of them. And, the numbers that he has is in like just a portion of what the other players have played, and he's already compiled all that. 20.2 points, clearly the best basketball player in this list. 10.5 rebounds, 5 All-Stars, 4 all NBA, which is more than the other 2.
Carmelo had 6, but
6. Okay, sorry. I looked quick and it looked like 1, but 6. But at this point in his career, already 4. 2 MVPs to go on top of that. He's the best basketball player on this list. And it's not even close in my book. And I can only imagine the numbers he's going to put up. When it's all said and done, he might end up, maybe not higher than the next 2 guys, but number 2, I have Patrick Mahomes. Look, this guy is good. 64-16 record already. 64-16. Clearly the best football player on this list. Not even close.
okay.
It's not close, Eric.
Not close.
It's not close. Completion percentage 66.3 when Stars is 57.4. The yards, Mahomes is already on his doorstep I know it's a different era,
Much
but that is
different
still
era.
it is still
You can't
impressive
count
how
it.
many. You can't count it. You can't count 24,000 yards.
Not when you're comparing the two of them. No.
No, not with those two, but that's pretty impressive. 192 touchdowns and only 49 interceptions. Far better than the 152 and 138.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
So I have Patrick Mahomes. He has also 2 All-Pros, 2 championships, 2 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. And I know the Super Bowls are with Bart Starr. I know he has 2 Super Bowls, 5 NFL championships. I get all that. I get all that. Just saying. He's a Dilfer. Sorry.
Okay.
He's a
Okay.
Trent Dilfer.
Okay.
Number 1, to me, wasn't even close. Maurice Richard. I mean, when it's all said and done, Mahomes and Jokic could end up catching and passing Maurice Richard. But right now, Maurice Richard, 544 goals, 422 assists.
Average.
I mean,
Average.
oh, come on. Stop. Just stop.
I'm
Don't be a
saying.
dumbass.
Woo.
84 game-winning goals to go along with his Hart Trophy, 14 All-Stars, and of course 8 cups. But it's not the fact of the 8 cups that put him on top. He is the best player of the 40s and 50s. 2 decades of being the best player. 2 decades.
Okay. Okay.
And that's why, and believe me, you think I want to put a Montreal Canadian number 1?
Okay. All right. No, I wanted to check something. I got you. 32nd all time in goals scored, but that's not average.
Oh my God.
32nd. There's 31 other guys that have scored more goals than
He
him.
has
But okay.
only 14 more touchdowns than interceptions. That is not the best player on this
He's
list.
got
I'm
5 more
sorry.
championships.
In no way you can put him as the best player on this
So
group.
Tom
You can't.
Brady. Tom Brady. Okay.
No. Stop.
Didn't win those
Stop.
championships either then. Caught in the year.
Stop.
But
No.
anyway, you count all times.
You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
Vince
You try
Carter.
to look. Your whole game is just to try to twist all the numbers in your favor. That's what you do. That's what you do. But when it comes down
This
to
is
it,
you.
I take all the other players on this list over
Yep.
him.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
Go
Vince
ahead, give
Carter
me your
at
crap
7.
list.
Vin Carter at 7. I agree with you. Listen, the numbers just weren't there for him. Carmelo 6 again. Jokic at 5. No
Yeah,
championships. No championships.
You're
I
out
went
of your mind.
Pedroia at 4. I agree with you there at 4. And I was surprised with his numbers. I really was. To your point, if he stayed healthy, I mean, I didn't know the 4 gold gloves. Like he was
Stayed healthy, he would have had 3,000 hits.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, he was a great player for them. He really was.
it was.
At 3, I had Patrick Mahomes, and I gave him the knock because again, 5 less championships. I went Bart Starr at 2. Bart Starr at 2.
You can't honestly
And I
say
still
Bart
went-
Starr is better than Mahomes. You can't say that.
I can because of the championships.
Oh my God, that is just stupid. That's stupid.
It's
it's
a different era. I'm not counting
I know
the
it's a
fact
different
that
era,
his
but
numbers,
he's really not that good.
his numbers are what that generation's numbers were. Patrick Mahomes is going to beat Tom Brady's numbers based on the fact that if he stays around as long as Tom, the league has changed even when Tom was starting to when Tom Brady finished. It's a passing league now. Quarterbacks don't get hit. A lot of different things happen.
Yes. I'm not going by the passing yards.
I'm
that had
going
nothing to do with it.
Okay, 7 championships versus 2.
He's
you're
got
telling me-
2 in what, 5 years?
Okay. Still 7. If he gets 7, then I put him ahead of Bart Starr.
No,
7.
Bart Starr is not in any conversation for best quarterback of all time.
Okay.
No conversation.
Okay. And I had Maurice Richard at 1 because of the 8 cups and the 14 All-Stars, but he is average when you think about 32nd all-time in goals scored, and he's a plus 18 for his career. So
See, you
I
make
mean-
light of it, and just like that pick and roll with
You
the biggest upsets of all time, and you got stuffed this year with it.
it came back to haunt me. Yes, it did.
Yes,
but
it
guess
did.
what? You can't take away 5 championships from Bart Starr. So when you
Why
do that,
can't you?
then we can. Why
can't you?
Can you?
Because he's only had really 2 good years. 2 good years, Eric. That's all he really had.
How do you know that?
Look at the numbers for the seasons.
Okay, but it's again a different era. I'm not going to count that.
I
Terry
know.
Bradshaw
So when you
sucked
got a
too.
500 team going into the playoffs and they happen to win a Super Bowl,
And I don't remember if it was we did the rest of the 12s and whatever it was, and you put Terry Bradshaw ahead of some guys because of the 4 championships. His numbers sucked too, because of the era. It was a different league.
no.
It was a different league. I can't believe Bart Starr at 7.
That's what he is.
You are off your rocker.
So okay, so Trent Dilfer now is also like
Trent
an
Dilfer won
Hall of Famer.
One.
He's a Hall of Famer though,
One.
according to you.
That is not according to me. 6 more than Trent Dilfer. You're trying
What
to
you
throw
did,
Trent
you
Dilfer.
have Trent Dilfer every year for that team because the team was stacked everywhere else.
Trent Dilfer won 1 Super Bowl.
That team
If
was
he won
stacked
7,
everywhere
I might have
Look
agreed
at all
with
the
your
players
argument.
on those teams. That defense. I
He
mean,
still
come
won
on.
7 championships. He's part of that team. You can't take
You
that away
don't
from him.
so give Eli Manning the credit then.
He's got 2 championships. I don't take
Give
it
him
away
the
from him.
credit because you say he stinks.
His numbers stink, yes.
That is Bart Starr right
but
there.
you give me number 10s and if
Eli
the 2
Manning
championships.
is him.
Is Bart
There you go.
with 5 more than
Yep.
Eli. Okay.
There was also like a dozen less teams.
It's prediction time. And the race is
That's
getting
so cool what
the
you're talking
race
about.
is getting tighter. We'll bring that up. We got Nick on the board now. So if anybody's out there, Kenny, if you're still out there, make sure you give your picks today. But it's down to one win again. We've seen this race though before in the past. But if you'd like to be on the list, make sure that you chime in live with us. Manny's done a really good job of just kind of sending it to me after the show. So, but I'm excited. This prediction, it's kind of weird week because there's only a couple games in the NHL because of the scheduling. How did that happen? Was that games canceled? Wasn't it because of weather, like Buffalo? Because they're like 4 extra games past everybody else. They still got to play like 3 or 4 more games. It's a little weird.
Okay.
So I'm just saying it's just odd that we never put the.
It doesn't matter though.
Well, we've been picking top games, and I'm throwing a couple games in there because it's just the fact that the season somehow went further. But anyway, April 14th, my friend, we're starting off with the NBA, and tonight they got the play-in game between the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat. Who do you got?
No, I got Miami.
I agree. I went Miami as well. I think they're a stronger team. Although Chicago played well. Levine played really well in their last game. Kenny, if you're on, just give us a pick. April 14th, we also have, so tonight, this game, Oklahoma City Thunder at the Minnesota Timberwolves. I am going Minnesota. Going Minnesota.
Yep, I am too.
I love how he gets so upset. You're awesome. Also tonight, we have the Buffalo Sabres at the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kenny's going Heat.
Oh my God, this doesn't even matter. I'll go Buffalo.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is a game we don't normally throw in there, but because it's on there. Yeah, I went Buffalo as well. I still think they're the better team.
Maybe Buffalo thinks that they can still make the playoffs. I don't know.
Kenny going Blue Jackets. This game's an interesting game because Colorado has a lot to play for. Colorado Avalanche, if they win this game, they win the division. They need to win though, and it has to be a regular season, regular game, not overtime.
Okay.
So Colorado at Nashville.
All right, so I'll go Colorado. I mean, they think they need to win.
No, they have to win.
No, they think they have to win.
Why do they think?
Because the West kind of sucks.
I know, but I'm just saying from seeding standpoint.
I know they think they have to win so they can get home ice advantage the whole way, but
yes.
they don't really need it.
I went Colorado as well. I think it's a must win for them.
It's not.
Kenny's just going opposite everything for us. April 14th, tonight, the Tampa Bay Rays take a 3-game series at Toronto against the Blue Jays. Europe.
I'm going to go Toronto. I don't
Ooh.
think the Rays are as good as people are giving them credit. I think they're okay, but I don't think they're that good. They've played crap teams, meaning Boston, Oakland, Detroit, Washington, all crap teams. So there's 4 more Christmas cards I won't be getting.
I gotcha. I will go. I'm going Rays as well as Kenny. And I'm not saying they're gonna. I don't think they're going defeated. I think they lose one of these, but they go 2 out of 3.
Yeah, that's what I'm
2
saying.
out of 3. So I go Rays. 4/17, we got the New York Mets at the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's a 3-game series. I'm not sold on the Mets. I'm going Dodgers here. I just think they're the better team still.
Yeah, I'm going Dodgers as well. Mets are on the road, so why not pick Dodgers?
Yeah, and I still think all those injuries with New York.
Yeah, sure.
Kenny's going Mets. Kenny. We got some NASCAR we're bringing back in. 4/16, you got the NOCO 400 at NASCAR. It's in Martinsville.
What does NOCO stand for?
I have no idea. No say. I don't know.
Is it like North Carolina, but it's
No,
or North Colorado?
No, I'm sure it's some. Let me see if I can.
North something.
NOCO 400. It is. Let's see. No, it doesn't even say. NOCO 400 in. It doesn't even say. That's pretty funny.
Where is it?
Martinsville.
What?
Martinsville, Virginia.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's probably some company.
Yeah, usually they'll tell you what the company is. Go ahead. Is it your turn? You got to pick a driver.
All right. So I am going with Ross Chastain. I believe he is number 2 in points. It is his turn to get a win this year.
All right, Ross Chastain. I went Chase Elliott. He's coming back to race in Martinsville. He's done pretty well there, so we went Chase Elliott.
Yeah. I was looking at the winners, and like in the past 20 years, there's been a lot of drivers that have won multiple, but never, only one time in like the last 20 years that somebody won back to back. I believe it's Baylor that won last year, so I knew he was not going to be my driver.
I like it. April 16th, you got the XFL action. Seattle Sea Dragons at the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Did the Sea Dragons win last week?
They lost by a point.
A
point. I went
That's
Seattle
nice.
here. I think they because this is still for 2nd, 3rd place here.
Yeah. I will take the Seattle Sea Dragons as well. They're not going to lose to the 3rd place team.
Agreed. Kenny, if you're still on Sea Dragons or Battlehawks. April 15th, we got some MLS action, and that's the Columbus Crew versus the New England Revolution.
Yeah, I'm going to go New England. They're going to be at home. I think they have a decent team. So we're going to go New England Revolution.
I went Revs as well. I think they're undefeated.
Yeah.
Kenny went Battlehawks.
I don't think they're that good, but I think they're decent.
Kenny, you got Revs. I'm going to assume Kenny's going Oppo on everything. Maybe Columbus here.
Yeah.
No, he's going New England. He agreed with one of us. We got that. Good stuff. All right. So that's our predictions. Normally, Ron, how we end our show is our final thoughts. But before we end our final thoughts, you want to tell all the wonderful people out there how they could support us and sponsor the show?
Absolutely. So the first thing is, look, when you go to a coffee shop and you get your large coffee and a donut, it's going to cost less than that. So just that alone is worth the expense to get thousands of eyes on your business. And you can just send us an email at ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. And I'm trying to find it on the list and I don't see it. But I will put it up there eventually. But you can just email us. We'll give you all the information.
It's coming up on the ticker right now. So if you
yeah,
there
it's
it is.
also
There it
there.
is.
So
There it is.
and there it is. I finally
it is.
got it. So just send us an email. We'll send you out all the information you need to. We'd love to have a sponsor, of future prospects, or pick and roll. You know, what tire company wouldn't want to sponsor the pick and roll? You know, that segment.
It would
You
be a great
know,
one.
I mean, you always get, a winning lineup like mine, and then you have, your competitor.
Yeah, I think after Bart's star thing, nobody's going to want to sponsor anything, but that's okay.
No, they
That's okay.
understand. They understand.
So
You just
Ron,
don't get it.
I don't get it. So Ron, your final thoughts tonight? Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I had a really good one, and I don't remember what it was. No, but look. If the NFL finally gets rid of Snyder from the league, it would be a blessing. Because we need to get the crap that he spews.
Thank you for following cheesy.
The crap that he spews and the abuse that he gives to his employees and the whole way that he conducts business is just not good. He is the most unethical of all the owners, and let me tell you, they are not angels. So that is a big moment for NFL, that they can get rid of a guy like this, and maybe they can bring in a new group with a good culture and really start to make changes in the NFL as far as that.
No, well said. Listen, we've been talking about Snyder probably way too long anyway, so hopefully this happens.
Yeah.
Thank you for your final thought. I actually got a couple quick ones, nothing crazy, but I did want to talk real quick. USFL this weekend kicks off, so another form of football. So I know we followed a little bit of it last year. We'll continue to bring that to you as they start to amp up, but that kicks off this weekend. So if you're a football fan, USFL this Saturday, tomorrow. And my actual final thoughts on the Dallas Mavericks, who attempted to tank.
That's what it was.
by sitting their starters to secure their draft pick in this upcoming draft. The league has now fined them $750,000 for failing their fans based on that action. What I would like the league to consider is take away that draft pick. Right?
This is what you're saying now is exactly what I wanted to say.
What a way to prove to a team. You want to sit your guys? You lose that pick. You lose that opportunity to get that pick. To me, that's disgusting. A bigger impact than the $750,000 when these teams make millions upon millions, if not billions, of dollars. How does that affect? You have a team selling for $6 billion. You think $750 really going to put a hurting in their pocket?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. Make these teams pay the price by sitting their players. They were still eligible for the playoffs when they decided to do it. So it wasn't like they could have said, hey, we were out of it anyway. They were legitimately in that game. They needed to win that game. They sat Kyrie, they sat Luka, and they made sure they lost that game. So despicable on the Mavericks' part. I'm ashamed that the league didn't decide to at least take away the draft pick.
The fact it was to protect a pick.
Yeah.
Because they were going to have most likely get the 10th pick in the draft, and that would be protected. If they were to be in the playoffs, they would not get a top 10 pick.
Which wasn't protected.
And it was just disgusting.
Yeah, it was. It goes to show that the NBA still has a ways to go when it comes to how they handle the players.
Time, you don't know what's going to happen.
You don't.
And when you have the talent of Luka and
Kyrie.
thank you.
Kyrie, your guy.
you know, when you have that kind of a talent, I mean, how do you say, "Oh, I'd much rather not make the playoffs"? I'm sorry, because that could have been a team that could have bounced out a number 1 or a number 2 seed just if they get hot.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. You're right.
Despicable.
Ron, I want to thank you for tonight. I do want to say if next week's pick and roll is
Oh, don't even go there.
16s,
Don't even go there.
16s, Joe Montana has to be 7 because he had Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, and all these other guys
You're
average.
just stupid.
Average Joe. Average Joes. If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball. So I would want to thank everybody that joined us live. Kenny, thank you for the follow. Cheesy 2009. We appreciate that. If you want to continue to support the show, follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, MeWe. We're on everything. You Reddit. You can also make sure that you share our show. It's so important that we get more eyes on our show to continue to help support and follow. So, Ron, I will see you next week. I appreciate your time tonight. Everybody out there, all we have asked for every single show is peace on earth.
Have a good night.